Hail, Baruch Levi, be here from Soul Centered. Thanks for tuning in. I wanted to bring you some hopefully inspiration during a time when it just feels a little dreary and sad out there as we're watching the news and we're seeing what's happening in Ukraine, and hearts and prayers go out to brothers and sisters there, and hopefully we'll stand up and do the right thing and bring them some much needed and deserved relief. In the meantime, all we can do is take care of ourselves and to make sure that we're staying soul-centered so that we can respond to brothers and sisters anywhere and everywhere in need. And one of the ways that I do that is to do my inner work around the Enneagram. So I teach the Enneagram. I use it in my counseling, coaching practice. I work with clients bringing it in, but I have my own system. I love the Enneagram, but I think it's misused by too many teachers. Certainly too many systems out there treat it like a personality test. It's not a personality test. It's not like Myers-Briggs or some of the others, which have their place, but this thing is ancient. It goes back thousands of years. And what it does is it picks up on 9 primary energies. And I'm also a Kabbalist, study Kabbalah. It's very similar to the tree of life. If you've seen that, there are 10 energies. Actually, there are 10 energies in the Enneagram. You can see on the screen here, 9. There's actually a 10th, and that's the entire circle. That's the 10th. We're all of these energies. They're each divine refractions, and we pick up on one of them when we come into this world. And so we have a primary energy, but we have access to all of them. I bring the work of Dr. Viktor Frankl to the Enneagram because Dr. Frankl, founder of logotherapy, I'm a logotherapist, meaning-centered living and therapy, would revile at the idea of a typing system because his whole thesis was you are not a body and you are not a mind. Those things become broken. They're a part of you, they're a piece of you, but they're not you. Who you are is a spirit, and you have within you the defiant power, as he would say, of the human spirit. He was never a number 119, 104. That's what the Nazis put on his arm in the Holocaust in Auschwitz. He was never 119, 104. He always defied his number because he found and knew his spirit. And that's what the Enneagram is. It's not that you're a 9 or you're a 2. You react like a 2. And the Enneagram can help you when you realize it's only how you react. You want to stop reacting and start responding, then understand your Enneagram type to defy it. And that's the work that we are going to do. So I want to share with you a specific way to defy your Enneagram. There are 100 different ways. We're going to be talking about them. It's part of my new program, the Defiant Spirit Enneagram, and I'll have lots of exciting opportunities. But today, let's talk about one particular way you can defy your Enneagram number. You can transcend it. And that's by the holy idea. You see on the screen here, the Disney movie, Soul. If you haven't seen Soul, you must watch Soul. Any of you out there seen it? Comment on it. I love this movie. It is such a great example of Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, of the Enneagram, of the work of Dr. Frankl. In it, this little guy or gal, I don't know if maybe it's a girl, maybe it's genderless, I don't care. 22, the one at the bottom of the screen, the kind of greenish little face at the bottom. 22 is on a journey to discover her divine spark in Kabbalah, holy idea in the Enneagram, what makes her her, that final piece of ingredients after the body's ready and the soul contract has been signed before we come into this world, according to the mystics, according to the makers of Disney and the movie Soul, and according to the Enneagram, we got to get a badge, so to speak. We got to put on our final spark, and she's in search for it. Well, in the Enneagram, it's called the holy idea. And even though there are only 9 of them, within them there are nuances, but there's an energy that every single one of us gravitates towards. And so you have a particular magnet. Again, you have all of these in you, but there's one in particular that's almost pulling you. And when I work with clients, I can see it and I help them see it. It was there when they were 2 and 10 and 20 and 50. There's a thread. What's the thread? Your soul thread, sometimes I'll call it, or your holy idea of all of these that draws you. Now, these are placeholders. Don't get too hung up on the words, but let's just run through them. I'll share with you just a snippet. We're going to go a deeper dive into each of them over time, but this is an orientation to the holy idea. So the Enneagram, as you can see on the side, the 9 numbers, there are 9 basic energies or types, and you are pulled towards one of them. So number 1, the reformer, called different things in different systems, but sometimes a perfectionist. You're drawn towards this idea of perfection. Now, at its worst, it can become, other things, but at its best, this divine spark, when you came into this world, you saw the world and you continue to taste that divinity, and perfection means something to you that it doesn't, as an Enneagram 8, or I react as an 8, it's not the same thing to me. Of course, I have a bit of this in me. Everybody does, but when you're in the presence of a Enneagram 1 type, and they exude this longing, this for perfection. Now, again, it can come out in much less holy ways, but at its best, and you know who you are, right? There is this beautiful longing for a perfect union, a perfect world, a perfect situation. And if you know it, one, I know many of them. I just hung up with one. His heart is so beautiful. All he wants to do is perfect everything around him. And life is complicated. So when it doesn't work out, right, then you got to get on the phone and talk with me or somebody to figure out, well, what's gone wrong and what's imperfect and how do you navigate that and deal with it. But just coming back to the primal energy, 1's perfection. 2's, the helper, the lover, the giver. Now, the holy idea, the spark, if you will, of the 2, it's called will, but it's more like thy will, not my will, kind of a will. It's relational. These are the relationship types. So if you're always longing to help, right? This beautiful idea of almost being a God's helper. At its best, right? You insert yourself into the world to build relationship, to build bridges, and you are constantly like out in front of people, building bridges so they anticipating their needs so they can walk more readily across the divide. At its worst, can become something far less, but we're not talking about worse today or the fears or the degraded states. We're talking about the ideal. If you're a 2, you're just here to contribute and relationally to others. 3, at its best, this achiever, right, the performer sometimes really longs to fulfill potential, actualize potential. These are, in society, these are the winners, the achievers, which is why they're called the achievers. And at their best, it comes from this divine place of maximizing potential. Have you ever just been in a situation where you've seen potential and it's there, but nobody's actualizing it, bringing it to reality? That's what the achievers do. They can bring things into reality like nobody else. And it comes from this place of hope. That's what it's called, right? That we can get there. And these are the energies that come into this world that make things possible. The holy idea of a 4, the individualist, or sometimes called the romantic, is this originality, origins. They sense the uniqueness of the divinity like nobody else. And then they can reflect it in their clothing and their expression. They're just originals. And don't tell them anything but, because they want and need to hear how original they are. And it comes from this divine place of the origins that we all come from. We're all from a unique place. We all have a fingerprint. We all have a soul print. And we come into this lifetime and sometimes it gets lost. Well, these are the 4s are calling us back to originality. That's their holy idea, their divine spark. The holy idea of a 5, maybe you're a 5, if really it's about ideas. Omniscience is the word that is often used as the holy idea, the divine spark. And omniscience is this all-knowing, right? That all is right in the world when you just access that place of ideas. Have you ever had a good conversation with somebody and you've lost yourself and you're just in this place of a knowing? That's a 5 energy. And 5s really can just go there and access it like nobody else can. The challenge is when they live there and they're not living in the real world, it starts to break down. But their holy idea, omniscience. 6, this is one of the most interesting ones because the 6 is called the loyalist. Now, at their worst, they get stuck in fear and thinking, analysis paralysis. But at their best, they are at this place of faith, right? Where there is no doubt, have you ever been in that place, a moment in time? There's no doubt, and you're just truly loyal to the person or to the cause. There's no crack in the armor. That comes from this place of divine, holy faith, and it drives them. And they can lose it. And when they lose it, they don't look anything like the holy idea. They look like unholy doubt, but they're driven by this longing for holy faith. In the Enneagram, the 7, also another complex one, they're the fun-loving ones. They're called the enthusiasts. They're called the adventurer, the visionaries, lots of different things. But you know them when you're around them because they're the life of the party, or they're energetically optimistic and off to the next thing. And it's really driven by this holy idea of, I don't love the word plan, but experience. I would probably say that's a better, maybe I'll change it. Holy experience, that life is to be experienced, almost the opposite of the 5, where life is to be thought, right? Life is to be experienced. So they go out into the world at their holy point, drawn by this idea to experience that and to know that it's unfolding exactly as it's supposed to be. And so that's the holy idea. Again, breaks down and becomes this kind of greediness to cram in experiences and lack of faith and not believing in a plan. But at its best, the holy idea of a 7, the enthusiast, the holy plan or holy experience. And the 8, I'm an 8, is the challenger, sometimes the advocate. My wife will call me on a bad day an 8-hole. So it depends on my mood and where I'm at in my evolution. We're driven by truth, justice, truth, holy truth. It's like oxygen to an 8. You know you're around an 8 because they light up with a cause, something bigger than themselves at their best. And that's driven by this idea that truth, was, is, will be, continuity, right? Things that are true aren't sometimes true. They're always true. They're absolute. 8s can get lost in that because we don't live in a world of truth. We live in a world of half-truths, of deceit, of lies sometimes. And it can really bring us down the ladder of consciousness. But at our best, holy idea of holy truth for an 8. Last but not least, wanted to keep this around 10 minutes. The 9s. You also know when you're in the presence of a 9 because they're the peacemaker. I have a daughter who's a 9. People just gravitate towards her because she's mellow, she's easygoing, she's love. Now, that's the holy idea. The problem is we live in a world of conflict. Like the 8s, 9s start reacting when the love isn't there, and reacting and running, and it looks very much not like love. It looks like something else, and it's hard to find a 9 when the conflict comes. But at their best, they're driven by and pulled by this idea of love. Now, just again, a reminder, all of these are in you. It's just that one of them really can be a thread through time, can be oxygen to your blood, can be the thing that's pulling you into the future. And so really taking the Enneagram test is one way to figure out your Enneagram type. I think a better way is to work with somebody, I'd love to work with you, on working through the holy ideas, the core fears, the virtues, the vice or passions, and you'll start to see pretty quickly, I have all of these, but here's really the rank order, and there's always a core type. Probably hasn't ever really changed. And there are good assessments out there, tests. I use one free one with Truity and one expensive, but you get what you pay for through Integrative Enneagram or IEQ9. And either of those are an option in working with me. And so we can do the Enneagram assessment and we get on a call and we talk through some of these core concepts so that you have a roadmap of how not to be your Enneagram, because you shouldn't be a number. Don't let anybody type you and put you into a box and grow into becoming that number. Be like 22, right? Who finds her own number, who rides it down into this universe and expresses it in the world, but it's not who she is, it's what she does. The Enneagram is here to help guide you, but ultimately so that you can defy your number, stop reacting to your circumstances, as Dr. Frankl would say, and respond to your life. If you want to learn more about me or the Defiant Spirit Enneagram or the Enneagram in general, jump over to mysoulcenter.org. There's a page now, Defiant Spirit, or you can just Google defiantspirit.org and you'll get there. Love to hear from you. Shoot me an email, b@mysoulcentered.org. Until the next time, get out there and defy your number, defy all numbers, live your spirit, right? Live your true self, live your holy idea. Until the next time, I'm B. Shalom, salam, namaste. Peace.